Okay, so welcome to our Wednesday workshop. We are going to talk about Epic, which is a place to get books and audiobooks for both teachers and students and staff. I'm Miranda Doyle, one of the district librarians.
And I'm Carrie Light. I'm the other district librarian.
Great, okay.
All right.
Off we go. So I'm going to talk for a second about what Epic is. It's very popular. Quite a few teachers. This is mostly for elementary school, although our junior high, middle school students like it too. It's a source for ebooks and audiobooks and read-along books, and it does have videos and some other things that are fun. One thing that is nice about it is that the books are unlimited users, meaning in our Sora digital library, if 6 kids are reading our 6 copies of a book that we purchased, no one else can read it until they're done or it's returned. So there'll be a waiting list. In Epic, there's no waiting list. The downside of Epic, and this is something I've struggled with a bit as to whether to recommend it or not, is they provide free reading, free access during school days and hours. So from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays, students can access Epic for free. And so it works really well in the classroom when we're physically in school because they can use it during reading time or whatever. Their business model, though, is once students go home or on the weekend, their parents need to subscribe and pay a monthly fee for them to use Epic. And so that always gives me pause. Right now, if you're a teacher or staff member and you have students sign up for your Epic account, they can get that 24/7 access through June 30th because of the situation that we're in right now. It isn't clear what's going to happen for the summer to that access or next year. So just be aware of that. If you're using Epic with students, then there is that downside that they make their money by having parents do subscriptions. So it's not completely equitable. If you're using it as a teacher or staff member because you're reading something or doing a read aloud, then I don't think there's really that issue.
Okay. And here's some examples of what's been popular for Epic. They have several series that kids seem to gravitate toward. They're very good. It's at showing the kids how to search, and kids can find series easily and different titles. Here's some more examples. And yeah, what's so great is that it's unlimited, so multiple users at a time. So obviously, like Big Nate and Wimpy Kid, you can have several students looking at those.
Yeah, and if you wanted to have, say, a book group based around that, as long as the reading is during school time and hours, or you can provide access, then it would work great.
Mm-hmm. And Epic has added new titles. I don't know how often they do that, but they also do have nonfiction. They've added in more picture books as well, and so you can find different genres, and kids can also, and you as a teacher or adult can search different genres.
It also, you can search by grade level. There's lots of good searches. They also have some books in Spanish and I think Chinese.
Mm-hmm. And some French. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how do students access? Well, on that little handout, I do have a code that they can use. They go to getepic.com/students. It's better if teachers make their own classroom. The code takes them in and they get kind of a generic view, but it doesn't remember what page they're on or what reading they did. I did turn on the students can create their own account feature. fairly recently. Carrie's smiling because they also get to make up their account name, and it's not always what I would choose. So if you use my class code, and I wanted to give students access, but the better way to do it is for a teacher to create a class, and you don't have to be a credentialed teacher. You could also be an EA or staff member, anyone with that like Oswego email address. You can import a roster from Google Classroom, which is really nice, or add your own students or allow students to add themselves. So using that generic account is just a way to give kids access, but it's not necessarily the very best plan. If you go to Epic yourself and log in, create that educator account, and then add your students or allow students to add themselves, that's much better. What that also allows you to do, and we'll show you later, is to see what students are reading, how much time they spend reading, assign books to them, suggest books to them, all of that good stuff. And I can't remember, I can't see our notes on who was saying what, so.
Oh, I think, and I think, you covered this in before, but yeah, it's credentialed and classified staff can create just a reminder, and they have said it's free 24/7 access to students right now through June 30th. Not sure what's going to happen past then. But like Miranda mentioned, it's better to create your own account because then you can really manage the students, and then the students will they can add bookmarks. It will remember their reading history. They can create their favorites. You can make collections and have a lot more capability to manage it that way.
Yeah. Okay. I just looked, and I was supposed to do that one. So thank you. And on this one, it just shows you as you're setting up your teacher account, do you want them to be able to watch the educational videos? Now, typically when I'm visiting classes, I have that turned off because I want them reading. But for this, I turned on the videos so that students could do that. And I also am letting them right now create their own profiles, just to make it a little easier for them to get that free 24/7 access. Although I do need to go in there and make sure they're not naming themselves something inappropriate. I just saw a question. It makes you choose a grade level. So if you work with all grades, you can actually, I would choose third or fourth maybe, because it lets students see books at different levels, but it doesn't, there are a few books that if you're like going into a second grade account, you wouldn't see. There are a couple that are like sixth grade level. As the teacher or educator, you see all of them. It's just what your students would see. So I would say pick fourth or even fifth grade just to make sure they're not limited. Yeah.
So there are a couple different formats in Epic, and what is the difference? So the first type of book that you might see is a read to me. This would be similar to like a read along. And so you'll see like the little green tab at the bottom with the megaphone. And these are professionally narrated. It's really not a robot voice, so it's pretty good quality. But you can turn that off. So if you're like, oh, I really did want to read this picture book, but it already has voice attached to it, just turn off that voice, and then you can read it, advance the pages yourself. When you assign it to kids, it also gives you the option, the kids can go at their own pace and turn the pages, or it can be automatic page turn. The audiobook in the middle example is more just a traditional, also professional narration. And when the kids have it on the screen, they're only going to see the cover. They won't see any text from any of the pages. It's strictly an audiobook. And then the third option, of course, are just independent reading with no narration attached to it at all. And these come in chapter books, picture books, nonfiction, and if you do some searching, you are able to search in Spanish, Chinese, and French as well.
There aren't a huge number of books in other languages, but there's some selection, and they're appealing. So
right, right, yeah. So if you have your own account as an educator, you are able to assign books to students. So when you do your search, and Epic will show an age range. I'm not sure how they get their age range, but they've got that. They've got Fontes and Pinnell leveling. They have a number of pages. And then you can click assign. And if you have a student roster, you can assign the book to your whole class, or you can just assign it to a few students, or maybe you have book groups or book clubs in your class. And then that student will get a message that a book has been assigned to them.
Yeah, and what I do like about Epic is you can assign books, but they can still browse and pick their own to do independent reading.
Yes.
It's not limited to just what you give them. Students actually get to choose.
Right, right. So here's a view of what you see as an educator. Just there's a couple different views. I've got the daily reading highlighted, so I can see, oh, Miranda she did not read anything on Monday. So I might send her a gentle reminder. And then I can kind of see recent activity, and so you can see how long students are spending on reading or on particular books. And they can also see this too as students. And there are motivators along the way. Kids receive little badges as they read, and little motivational messages as they go. And recommended new read alouds. Now, some of these are not new books, but they're new to Epic that were added. So we have several book lists out right now for distant learning with recommended read alouds, and these have recently been added to Epic, so wanted to include them. And that last example, there's one of those examples where, oh, I want to read Imani's Moon. It looks like it's a read to me. Just turn the volume off and narrate it yourself.
And I just have to put in a plug for Dreamers, which is such a beautiful book. And it's about an immigrant family in San Francisco. They go to the Mission District Library, where I used to work as a librarian. So I'm very fond of that. It's a lovely book.
Yes, and she's a fabulous author, illustrator, and it's great. So the Mañana Iguana, if you've never read that, that's really fun to read out loud. It's a Latin version of The Little Red Hen, where the animals are not helping her, so make a fiesta. So that's fun too.
Those are great additions. And then here's a little example of just how I would open a book. You can see on the bottom, it's the read aloud, but I don't have the volume on. I'm just turning the pages and reading it out loud for the kids, whether you're using Meet or Screencastify or Loom to read out loud. And if you're like a library staff or EA and you're not assigning, you're making an account just for yourself, that's fine too. You don't have to add students. You could just add yourself as an educator and just use it in whatever way you wanted, to work with students or to read aloud.
Mm-hmm. And here's just some student view screenshots so you can see what the kids see. And with Epic, it is easy. You can switch over to a student view, and you can, I made some sample students so I could see, but it's pretty easy to switch views. And so this is what the students would see. There's that message that the teacher has sent the student a book. And I don't know if we mentioned that this is also an app. if your students are using iPads,
Yes.
you can access this on the iPad.
Yeah. And for the youngest students, you have the option of not having a password, just having a little picture with their first name. Like, so they go into your student account and they just click on the picture that represents them and they're in. They're not worried about remembering another login. So I like that. And then Paula just mentioned that she likes how she can make book lists and favorites and collect, kind of have her own.
Yes, there's lots of collections, and there are educators who will share their collections. And a friend of mine, first grade teacher friend of mine in Illinois, just made a collection for her kids about around the world. And she shared it with me and I added it to mine. So that's a great way to build up book collections too.
Yeah, great. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We can demo the live site if you'd like. One thing I wanted to say about Epic is sometimes we get emails saying we want this particular book. So we can add books to Sora if we have money to add them. And we actually just did add a ton of books because they had an amazing sale and we're adding more. But if it's Epic and you say to us, well, I was looking for this book in Epic and it's not in there, can you add it? We don't have the power to do that. It's Epic as a company negotiating with authors, publishers, and adding what they want. So that is unfortunately not in our control. And there's also the possibility as you're using it that they might lose the rights to a book. So like if you are like, I really want to assign this to a whole class, and there is that possibility that it would go away. It doesn't seem to be a high turnover. So it doesn't seem to happen often that it just goes away. But I would hate for you to be in the middle of a book group where you're using Epic titles and gone.
Right, that's a good point.
Is anybody who's on this presentation, are you using Epic or did you in the past? I would say a good percentage of our elementary school teachers had signed up for class accounts. It's been around for years. I think we're maybe paying a little more attention now because we're wanting the ebooks, but it's definitely been popular for a long time. Okay, great. Third grade at Oak Creek. Excellent. Has anybody had any difficulties? Oh, okay. Rikita, so at River Grove, does reading in the classroom, which I think is the best use of it normally.
Yes.
Because then you're not worried about that, like, oh, it's after 4 o'clock or it's Saturday. And now we're pushing our families to subscribe to something which we don't want to do.
Right. Good point.
Let's see, we could do a quick little demo.
Yeah, I've got my
fairy tale. Nice.
Yeah, I've got my teacher. If you look at under your library, Paula had mentioned lists and collections and assignments. So here's where you can build out collections or favorite specific books, and then you can kind of, edit and add, view progress. So here's an animals collection, and I've assigned it to one student.
Ron Weasley.
Yes, he's doing pretty well. So yeah, that's places. There's lots of views as a teacher that you can get all kinds of information and kind of see, your history and so forth. And then as a teacher, you can search by, like we said, specific age group or genre or format. Maybe you do just want to look at audiobooks, or you're specifically looking for an SEL, social emotional, topics. So there's lots of different ways that you can search. And here's what a search result looks like as it comes up. You can assign it straight from here if you just want it, or you can open up the book Oh, I feel like Tacky the Penguin is new as well in terms of an addition.
Oh, nice.
You can assign it from here.
And Carrie, I'm not sure, can you assign only to certain students or do you have to assign to the whole class? Oh, Tacky the Penguin, yes. And then,
Yeah.
oh,
You can, sorry, now my screen is such that I can't get out of Tacky now. You can assign to specific students. So yeah, let me show you. So if I wanted to assign Tacky, I can either assign to my whole class, or I can just assign it to one student or whoever I pick.
great. And then Renee is saying that she likes to put on the Read to Me books during lunchtime. So do you put on the audio only, or do you put it like project it on the screen and show the book as well? Project the whole book on the screen so the students can read along or just listen and they can see the pictures. That's awesome.
Great. That's great.
Yeah. Great. Let's see, what else about Epic? Does anybody have any questions or something you'd like to see?
I can go in, I can show you more as a student from the student view if you want me to. So this is kind of, of course, this is their homepage. This is, it kind of shows up in these ribbons of images. If Ron goes to his library, he's got his favorites and what he's been assigned. He's got a little mailbox here, so that's where messages might come in terms of assignments or, different. So he's got 2 assignments here from the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Oh, and such good comments coming in. Rita's saying maybe we could share share how we could use this in a virtual book group with a split screen. So yeah, definitely you could have a student or several students in a Google Meet on one side of your screen. And then on the other side, you can have your book with Epic. So, oh, perfect. We got the split screen thing going on. And just resize or use one of the Chrome extensions we talked about. Yeah, it's also a nice way to split your screen quickly. And then you can be reading with the students and they can see it on their screen. So that's a great option.
I do like the format of Epic, how it opens up on the screen. I think it's really clear and kind of fills the screen up nicely.
Yeah, I did want to say that we were talking in our librarians group about how great Epic is, but how worried we were, that we were pushing a product that you can't access for free. And someone had checked, I think it was Beaverton or Portland, on how much it would cost to enable it for the whole district. It was really, really expensive, like just not doable. Like if we couldn't, I can't imagine how we could give students, subscribe to that for all our students. It was something like $60 a student per year.
Wow.
It was crazy. We all just kind of shrugged.
Yeah.
So to answer that. And then Paula is wondering if you can share your collections. And I'm not sure about that because when I've looked, there seem to be collections created by teachers maybe all over the country or the world.
Yes. Let me bring my screen back into.
Yeah.
Bring my tab. There we go. Did I get it in? Not quite.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how my friend, she might have. Yeah, let's see. If we go to collections and assignments, I haven't shared with anybody, so
yeah, sorry to put you on the spot because
that's fine.
I think I have made a collection, but
yeah, let's see. So here we go. Create a collection. Yeah. So if I wanted this one, I'm going to see this little heart logo
The
down
favorite
here.
is
I'm going to add that over here.
fun.
And oh, my dog is named Baxter, so I'll add Baxter to my dog collection. Okay, so when I'm ready, I'm going to create my collection, and I'm going to call it dogs. And then, well, this I'm going to share it out with the whole community on Epic, but
seems to be the way to do it. And then I'm wondering if there's a way other than you could put LOSD in the collection title, and then maybe it'd be searchable. We'll have to play with that. Like, because I can see how maybe, you know, kindergarten teachers want to have a collection of books they're all going to use. So
right.
That would be helpful.
Right. Let's see. And then feeling like it's not saving right now. What happens if I do that? Will it let me save?
Seems to enable.
Maybe I need to get rid of that first.
All right. And the description is optional. Huh.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. But it looks like, but when I do go to collections, I can see things that I haven't created. And so it looks like you can either keep it private or share it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can find out because like I said, if you go here, and I was trying to see, I was trying to figure out how I had found my friends at that point.
Oh, there is a share button under the We Love Animals. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
There we go. Share by email.
By email. So you can send it out to your group or send them a link. Cool. We just learned
or the link. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any more questions? I'm going to stop recording in just a moment, but we will hang out and let us know if you have more questions. What do you think? If you are trying to figure out how to make an account or how to add students or any of that, please get in touch with either one of us. And we would be happy to help you with that. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording, but we will stick around.